Alright, the Marvels. So this movie's not doing so hot right now, but is it as bad as people say it is? Well, let's talk about it. Once again, we follow Captain Marvel, played by Bre Larson. Her powers have gotten entangled with two other characters, Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau. Because of this, the three of them are forced to have to learn how to work together if they want to stop the villain in this film, who is the most forgettable, boring MCU villain I think I have ever seen in a Marvel movie, and that really is saying a lot, considering there are some pretty bad duds out there. This movie, I feel like it was all over the place. I didn't really understand exactly what was going on, but I didn't watch Miss Marvel, I didn't watch Secret Invasion, and honestly, I have no intention to. And I guess there are some things that you might not understand if you haven't watched Secret Invasion. But if we're talking about Secret Wars, let's talk about Samuel L. Jackson in this movie. So this is not Nick Fury in this movie. Does he have some kind of funny parts? Yeah, but this isn't Nick Fury. This is Samuel L. Jackson. He literally just rolled out of bed, just came on set, and is just acting like himself. Does he even have a script? I don't know. I feel like they were just make it up as you go along. Samuel, just do whatever you want. I understand there's this desire to make certain characters more relatable, and generally that is a good idea. But there are some characters that are better left to be mysterious. It's like you open up their whole life story, it makes them a little bit less mysterious, makes them a little less edgy. Yeah, the whole idea that he got his eye scratched out by a cat, I think that was horrendous. I think that was horrible writing. It was really stupid. Alright, so the three main characters in this film, we have Kamala Khan, Monica Rambeau, and Carol Danvers. Alright, first off, let's talk about Kamala Khan in this movie. She's fine. Apparently a lot of people like her. They could have maybe chilled on her fangirl persona. That kind of annoyed me a little bit, because it's nobody's this intense, nobody's this crazy, the way she would act sometimes. Unless maybe you were 8 years old, you maybe would act like this. But she's fine. I did find her obnoxious sometimes, but she honestly is fine. I can see why people like her. I don't think she's the future of the MCU or anything like that, but sure, whatever. Alright, and then we have Monica Rambeau, and I'm not gonna lie, I remember the first time when I saw a preview for the Marvels, and I saw Monica Rambeau, I was like, who the heck's this lady? And I watched WandaVision, and I still had no idea who this woman was. And it wasn't until later I was like, oh yeah, she was from WandaVision. But even in WandaVision, I remember her being such a boring character. But she actually kind of annoyed me the most. She's mad at Carol Danvers for some reasons, and it kind of makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't make sense. And you're just I think maybe you should kind of get over it. Alright, and then we have Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. And I know this is kind of a hot button for some people, because some people just hate Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, from these movies. And I'm going to say, yes, she's not my favorite, but not necessarily because oh, she's such a crappy person. It's because she doesn't have a character. She pretty much got the same treatment as Rey from the Star Wars sequels got, where she just kind of doesn't have a personality necessarily. They forgot to give her one. She's kind of just supposed to be the face of feminism or something like that. I don't know what the heck they're trying to do. But pretty much they just made the most generic, boring character ever. So let me just give you a comparison too, so you understand where I'm coming from. So I don't think that Captain Marvel, the movie, the first one, is as bad as people say it is. I don't think it's good. I just don't think it's as bad as people say. I would put it in the same tier as Ant-Man. And I know some people will probably get mad about that. But here's the difference. This is what makes Ant-Man better than Captain Marvel when it comes to the movies. Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, is a likable character. People liked him. Most people liked him. I liked him. I wanted to see him interact with the other Avengers, and I was actually excited to see him show up and, hang out with the other characters. I mean, he's interesting. He's fun. Was his movie the best? Was Ant-Man the best movie? No. But it introduced us to a character that we liked and wanted to see more of. Captain Marvel, in my opinion, didn't. It was just a kind of a mediocre movie, and it gave us a character that I really honestly did not care if I ever saw them again or not. I don't want to see her interact with anybody, because it's she doesn't really have much of a personality. So what would be interesting about her interacting with the other people in the group? However, with having said that, I feel this movie does improve on Captain Marvel. They They allow Captain Marvel in this film to actually be vulnerable sometimes. They actually allow Bre Larson to emote in this movie. But I think that she's fine in this film. It was actually kind of annoying because I was like, this is how she should have been introduced in the first Captain Marvel. Like in this movie, Captain Marvel, obviously she's overpowered. And there's something about this, the fact that she's so powerful, that you can see that maybe it's weighing on her, because how much responsibility does a person have when they have this much power? Like, you are going to be expected to like help everybody. So she's kind of like this Superman figure. And sometimes she's not able to save everybody. And I can kind of see that in this film. And it's like, okay, give us more of that. That's what... Is it great? No. Is she like my favorite character because of this movie? No. It's just, she's definitely better than what we got from previous films that we've seen her in. But after some reflection, this is what I have to say about this movie. Look, if you're not like a huge fan of the Marvel films, and it really has no effect on you what happens in these films, and you're just looking for a movie to watch, you can watch it and it will be entertaining to some degree. It's not going to like harm you. I don't think you're going to be offended by it. But overall, the question always in my head is just why? What's the point? What is the point of this movie? This movie does not make a difference going forward. Obviously, it's trying to set up a future for Marvel with some of the end scenes. I'm not that stoked. One thing I can tell you about this movie, it was like probably 2 days ago that I watched it, but I have a hard time remembering it. I don't remember really anything happening in it. And it's weird. Like, usually I can remember like key points. Or even in bad movies, I can remember something that happened that made me angry or something that was really annoying. But in this one, I just don't really remember anything because everything is just so blah. So in the end, is this movie as bad as people are saying? Honestly, I have to say not really. Because it's not, I don't think it's as bad as I was expecting it to be, but that's because I thought that it was going to be full of a bunch of really cringe girl power woke moments, and that's not in this film, which I'm really curious to know if there were those scenes, but they took them out. And if that's the case, I'm glad they did, because it did make the movie more watchable. But it did make it harder to review, because it'd probably be better if I could hate on this film a little bit more like everybody else. The thing is, I can't really hate on it because it's nothing. It's kind of like, it's like you have to have a reason to be bullied, you know what I mean? You have to like stand out in some way. You have to be like really dorky. You have to be really this. Like, you have to be some kind of extreme, I feel like. And this movie's just nothing. It's just not like some dorky kid. It's just some random beige kid. If you want to go watch it, go ahead. I mean, I think that you would enjoy this movie with your expectations as low as possible, not really being a huge Marvel fan. And also, I think you might enjoy this movie if you waited for it to go to streaming services. It's not spectacular to look at, where you should see it in theaters. A little post-credit scene, like that will, probably tie into something in the future or whatever. But overall, the whole film is not going to be remembered. Nobody cares about it. Even if you can watch this movie and say, it's not as bad as people said, it still doesn't matter because this movie has no impact. And I think that's honestly the biggest problem. So I can say, yeah, it's not the worst movie in the world. I don't even know if it's the worst Marvel movie. I'd have to think about it, but it didn't make me want to claw my eyes out. So if you want to watch it, go ahead and watch it. It's short, so whatever. But you know what? That's all I really have. I want to know what you guys think about the state of Marvel right now. What did you think about this movie? Did you watch it? Are you planning on watching it? What did you think of the post-credit scene? Let's talk about it. Let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to help support my channel. Other than that, just keep watching movies, guys, and keep being happy. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.